Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.
Call yourselves Title Town? Are you kidding me?
That's fraud.
It feels like a gray area.
Spoiler alert, Canada. Cup's coming back to the US of A.
There's way too much negative stigma attached to strippers.
I hate you guys so much.
My dog just shit his ass.
What is going on, everybody? It is Wednesday night. That means it is time for another edition of Craft Brewed Sports. I am Mike. With me, as always, is Scott. Scott, how we feeling tonight, man?
Fuck the Mets. Same as always.
I saw a clip from the game where it was the dude that's got the same song that Edwin Diaz comes out to.
Yeah, William Contreras. Didn't I tell you that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, no, but the Mets announcing team was like talking about how he's got the same He's like, if that walk-up music sounds familiar, it's the same music that Edwin Diaz uses. And honestly, he just shouldn't use it. Like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and fans are butthurt too, as if there's never been a Latin song used by more than one Latin player in Major League Baseball for an entrance theme or walk-up music at any given time. Like Edwin Diaz, who they've been trying to ship out for 2 years now, finally gets his shit together, and they're like, "Oh, that's his song. William Contreras can't come out to that. Fuck off." Mets fans are the worst.
So that's how Scott's doing tonight. Mookie, how you feeling, man?
I feel a little bit better in a couple days here. It was tough this weekend. I didn't realize that they took a break between the regional playoffs and then like actually playing in Williamsport, and it's fucking with me a little bit. But I think I'll be okay.
10 to 12-year-old kids just played 1 week in their hometown, and then like Tuesday they were in Williamsport, like ready to go.
You know, honestly, I never really put any thought into it whatsoever until I woke up, checked sportsbetting.ag, and did not see any Little League World Series lines out for that day. And then I had to do some research, and turns out there's a whole week of travel to get to Pennsylvania. I mean, I get it. It's a really far away place, but still, it was a disappointment, man.
I love the idea of like the Hawaii team winning their regional on Saturday, and then it's like, well, you guys got a game on Monday. You better step it up, fellas. And they got to go all the way to PA. And Mookie's like, "Ooh, this is going to affect the line."
Yeah, dude. Like, are you kidding me? Like, there's no way that pitcher is getting good rest after throwing those 85 pitches if he's got to fly, Cali to friggin', Scranton overnight, not a red eye.
If only the NCAA ran Little League Baseball, because they care about the children.
Oh my God, they care so much. I will say this, though, and I think I put it in the text, but shout out Todd Frazier. I got to give him credit, man. I've actually really enjoyed listening to him on those broadcasts, especially the one game that the audio went out for the actual play-by-play announcer, and Todd Frazier, who I'm pretty sure chilling somewhere in like Cincinnati, like he's at home broadcasting these games. Todd Frazier all of a sudden has to step up and try to like call play-by-play on the fly, and he did a solid job. Like, props to him, man. He's holding it down.
Well, he's a veteran Little League World Series
guy.
So
did you know he is the only multiple All-Star electee and Little League World Series champion?
Yeah, I've heard that a time or two.
Yeah,
once or twice.
Never heard that once during Cincinnati, his time in Cincinnati.
Never have I ever.
Caesar is also here. Funny story for Caesar. So my brother texted me earlier this week, and he said, "Hey, I want to let you know, I listen to the podcast on iHeartRadio." He goes, "I just listened to your show and this other show. And the other show that I listen to, every single commercial break, it's just regular commercials, like nothing out of the ordinary. For your show, it's literally nothing but Spanish language commercials."
Fuck yes.
Because of Caesar.
Fuck yes.
Caesar, what's going on, man?
Saludos a toda mi gente.
Yeah, what he said. Woo!
I loved it, man. I was like, yep, that's probably exactly why. They were like, "Oh, there's somebody named Caesar on this show. Let's dial up the Spanish commercial."
That's fucking hilarious. I'm chilling. I'm doing all right. Shout out the Little League Softball World Champions from Hewitt, Texas.
Oh
So-
yeah, that's right. I put money on them
Yeah.
girls too. They did
Yeah.
our
Shout out
You
to them.
degenerate. Oh my God.
equal opportunity better here. You know what I mean? Like them girls can play ball. Let's cheer them all on.
Let's acknowledge that the stash is gone, folks.
I know.
R.I.P.
I was gonna say the
I'm not a dick writer. I don't dick suck like that.
Attaboy.
810 to 810. R.I.P. Caesar Stash.
Oh, what the fuck is this?
He gonna love that beer by the end of the night. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
All right, this is already off to an awesome start. Robert said, "I'm here. Acknowledge me.
Kick me,
Consider
bitch.
yourself acknowledged." Matt Stanton pointing out these are rich kids in the Little League World Series, so yes, that's not a problem at all for them to do that. All right, let's talk about these beers. We got an awesome show tonight. We got a guest stopping in here in a little bit, an author with a new book coming out all about spying in the NFL. I cannot wait to get into some of the details on that one, find out just who the dirty, rotten cheaters are. If we got time, we're going to talk a little college football news that came out just before the show started. In a twist of fate, normally that happens right after we stop recording, and instead this one broke right before, so we'll talk about that. And then, Scott, I feel like we got to talk about this Tatis story that happened.
Yeah. Ringworm gate. Yeah.
Before that, though, let's talk about these beers that we're drinking, and we'll give them the scale as always. Would you bang your beers? Scott, what is in your mug this week? Please tell me you actually have a regular beer and not what you've been schlepping to this show. What is in your mug, and would you bang it?
Well, I am no longer dumpster diving, baby. I've stepped my game up, and tis the season, baby. It's pumpkin season. It's back. I have Mad Trees Pumpkin tonight, a 7.9% local brew with all the pumpkin-y goodness you could ever ask for. Of course, I'd fuck this beer because it's a pumpkin beer, and like stout season, this shit never ends, baby.
I saw Pumpkin when I went to the store earlier this week, and I was so tempted. I was tempted.
I saw it, and I'm like, well, this was the quickest trip I ever made to get here.
I do have to say, Scott, you would be proud. We have our first 2 4-packs of Pumpkin sitting down here, ready to go for the season.
That-a-boy.
Alex went to the store, and she saw it and picked up 2, and I was like, this is why I married you. This is exactly why right here. Because
they were sitting there, but my thing was, I was like, damn, these beers are all expensive. I'll go pumpkin next week. Like, your boy has to space out these expensive beers.
Understandable. Mookie, what's in your mug tonight? Would you bang it?
I hate you guys so much because I went in the fridge to grab a beer for the show tonight, and based on like the can decoration and like the little like words you see on it, describing the taste and flavor of everything, I got real excited. And then I looked, and it was a fucking stout. So I was like, nope, putting that shit back.
No,
putting that shit
you
back.
bailed on stout season.
Loser.
Oh, I definitely bailed on stout season. I instead am drinking from Crystal Springs Brewing Company. Well, I don't know. It doesn't have a name. Oh, just kidding. Blood Orange Kolsch, German style ale with blood orange, 4.9%. It's solid. It's all right. I would bang it in the sense that, like, you know, when you go on that double date or you're flying as the wingman for your buddy, you're just kind of there to take one for the team, and you're like, it is what it is. You know, I'll have a good meal out of it. Maybe we'll have some laughs while those two go do their thing, and then I'll go home and sleep it off just like everything else. So, yeah, it's all right. It's okay. I'd still be rubbing it out afterwards, but it's fine.
Robert with the correct take every season is stout season, you heathens. And Matt Stanton also pointing out stout season. It is always stout seation, Mookie. Caesar,
man, if you feel good about other idiots buying into your idiotic take, I mean, good. I guess congratulations. Good for you.
All right, good deal. Caesar, what do you got in your mug tonight?
So this is the beer. It kind of reminds me why I don't like beers, but it's Soyson Dog. Oh, I probably said it in Hispanic accent for no reason. It's Soyson Dug, a Belgian-style farmhouse ale.
Yeah, I thought you said dog. So.
I thought he said
No,
dog.
but I got it because it has a dog on the can. That's fucking hard. And you got like a little beret on.
But apparently the beer's not very good because you drank
no,
it.
it's not. Nah. I drank it and I was like, what the fuck is this? But it's 7.6 alky, so I mean, fuck it. We go.
I
love like a true champion.
I love Caesar's beer takes. I'm just like, it's got alcohol in it, so I'm on board. Gabe in the comments drinking Strawberry Field of Dreams Wheat Ale by Pontoon Brewing.
What?
6% ABV wouldn't bang. Well, I mean,
well, that's disappointing because Gabe tagged us on Facebook before the show started, and I was excited to hear about that one. That's
it's
bummer.
a wheat ale, man. I get it. Robert Taylor coming in with his King's Brewing Sidewinder's Fangs, a 7% ABV, Frose, brewed with blood orange, passion fruit, lime, and rum staves. My goodness gracious.
What's a Frose?
I don't
So are
know.
blood oranges just normal oranges?
And then look at Jared drinking a Sierra Nevada Atomic Torpedo, 8.2%. It's 19.5 ounces. It's an IPA. He says it's a booty call. I'm not ashamed of whatever. Solid bag. And then our boy Tank, he's got Other Half's Double Citra Daydream, DDH Dippa, 8.5%. Man, you guys in the comments are always drinking the great beers, except for Scott.
Scott coming through, baby.
Yeah, he's
I
drinking
respect
Labatt
you,
Blue
Scotty.
Light.
Ooh, that's a solid brew right there, though. That's
Also says he's pulling a Scott. Which
I would-
Scott? Pulling a yourself or pulling a me?
Look, all I'm gonna say is I feel like that kind of gets like partial credit at being a craft beer because you cannot get that shit down here in Southern Ohio, and I wish it was much more accessible.
That's a good point. When you're up there in Michigan, you get all those Canadian beers.
Oh my God, it's brilliant. Molson
week-
Triple X.
This
Oh.
week, I am drinking Amber's Lager from Irwin Brewing in Crested Butt. Great head on this beer. This beer has just solid head. Really good one. I would crush this one. All right, let us know in the comments what you're drinking and give it the scale. As always, would you bang your beer? Scott, we got a guest waiting to come in. You want to introduce our guest for the evening as we bring him into the show?
Sure, I'll drive. No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now about to be joined by author Kevin Bryant. He is the author of the new book, Spies on the Sidelines, the High-Stakes World of NFL Espionage. Kevin, thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Kevin, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm going to be your designated driver tonight, man. I'm scared to come on a podcast and drink too much and try to, I'll be telling stories that never happened, and it'll be a real good time.
Dude,
Well,
that's
you'd
my
be in the
entire
right
thing.
place.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's how we make the show.
That's the perfect way. Then you could just say
Right.
you got to read the book to find out which one's real and which one's fake. So that's
Pretty
the
much.
take.
There we go. There we go.
Solid
Okay.
hook.
So, Kevin, can you talk to us a little bit about the book and why you took on this endeavor?
Yeah, absolutely. So the book Spies on the Sidelines is all about the collection techniques that NFL teams use to gather information on their opponents in order to try to gain a game day advantage. It also covers all the countermeasures that teams use to try to defend against those techniques. And the book spans the entire history of the NFL and has stories from every single NFL team in there. So it's, no matter what team you're a fan of, it's got something for you. So yeah, I decided to take this puppy on because one, I wanted to write a book. I was looking for a subject, right? And
Gotta write a book.
I want to write a book. So I've got 23 years of experience now collecting and protecting information for the Department of Defense, and a master's degree in Intel Studies and another one in sports management. So after everything Spygate took place, and then Spygate 2, when Josh McDaniels moved over to the Broncos, became their head coach, and I'm a Broncos fan. So, the Broncos got busted for taping another team's practice.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I wondered, man, how much of this spying stuff really goes on in the NFL, And so I just started looking into it, and I realized, holy cow, after doing the internet research, I realized there's a lot of this stuff that takes place, but there's no consolidated place for it. No one's ever written a book for it. And I said, you know what? This is my $1 million idea, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it. And yeah, man, 8 years later, 8 years of research and writing,
You're here.
Here I am on the podcast.
Yeah.
So you're like James Bond if he decided to give up his gig and go into researching NFL spies. Like it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm more like Austin Powers, but same thing. Yeah, right.
Much more relatable guy though, that Austin Powers.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to work on my British accent, but
I am a little concerned though, guys, that even if you combine the forces of us four, that this dude's too smart for us, man. Like that's some serious shit. So you clearly know your thing, man. So outside of that, like, why hasn't anybody written about it? Like, why are you the first one? Why don't you think there'd be more interest in this? Because every time these stories come up, people are super intrigued and they seem to hold the headlines for months.
Well, let me ask you this. You want to spend eight years of your life doing all the research?
I mean,
so people are lazy is what it boils down
I've
to.
wasted a lot of time doing other shit. Let's
Right,
put it
yeah.
that way.
No. Yeah. Well, it's a good question. It's really hard to get people to open up about this subject because, first of all, you're dealing with NFL players and coaches. These guys are millionaires and they're very, very busy. And what you're really asking them to give up is either trade secrets that they're using to either gather information on their opponents or information how they defend against their opponent's collection techniques, right? So this is sensitive information that helps them win games. Furthermore, if they're not talking about themselves, if they're talking about another coach or another team, they're potentially, if they're talking about, another coach using illicit collection techniques, things that are not permitted by the NFL rules or bylaws, then they could potentially be getting another coach in trouble with the league, or they could be, tarnishing somebody's legacy, especially if it's some big name coach that's done lots of great things in the past. But then if they're going to come out with all these stories about how they cheated in order to get wins, right? No one wants to be that guy that throws those people under the bus either. So those are a few of the reasons. In addition to that, all these stories that I found for the book, well, I won't say all of them because I did interview people anonymously, but most of these stories are contained in books that NFL coaches wrote, most of them once they had already retired. And man, I'd read these books. I read like 60 of these books, and I'd find, for the most part, sometimes a paragraph, maybe 2, 3, 4 pages worth of material. If I was lucky, that was like a gold mine, like 4 pages. I'd be like, oh, this is a great book. Right. So it was just a lot of hard work. It was not easy to be able to, dredge up all this material. There's a reason it took years.
How do you get those guys to open up to you? Like, you mentioned they're millionaires, their time's valuable, they're giving away these secrets, they're potentially throwing somebody under the bus. How do you sit down with somebody and be like, all right, but for real, come on, how do you guys really cheat? Like, give me the real scoop. Yeah. Like, how do you bring that out of them?
Well, let's talk about that list of beers that everybody's drinking again.
I was going to say,
right?
Just
funny enough,
the liquid truth. I got it.
Funny enough, Peyton Manning used to use a technique trying to feed fellow players Mai Tais at the Pro Bowl in order to get them a little intoxicated and start sucking out team secrets from them. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, is all I'm saying.
Dude, you've clearly done your research, because that is 100% A, something Peyton would do, and B, the drink he would use to do it. Like Mai Tai. Like, I'm
envisioning Better Call Saul. He's just sitting there not drinking his drinks while the other one's getting liquored up, and he's just extracting all this information to take back to the Colts. That's
over
amazing.
Mai Tais.
He's probably got it all. His drink's all watered down, and
extra ice in my Mai Tai, please. So Mai Tais, that's one way. But what is one of the more wild ways, or the way that made you say, "Wow, that is one extreme way of going about this whole thing"?
Oh man, there's so many crazy stories in the book. There really are.
In the book, Scott, you got to read, bro. Sorry.
Here's the tease, just a little tease.
No, so I'll give you a bit of a tease. So, hey, you guys got a sec? I'll read you a passage.
We got all kinds of
Absolutely.
Got a
Yeah,
minute.
absolutely.
All right.
We got an hour and a half.
So I'll read you a bit from the book here. I'll read you a paragraph that kind of sums up all the crazy stuff you're going to hear in here. All right. So while the phrase three-letter agency is a euphemism for American spook organizations such as the CIA and the NSA. The NFL is a three-letter agency in its own right. Behind the game day action of the NFL is a world much like the cloak and dagger realm of American intelligence agencies. The NFL has its own history, filled with espionage-related stories that sound like something right out of the Cold War. Spies disguised as reporters, military officers, and priests, and even a dwarf playing the role of a baby being pushed in a stroller.
No.
It's in there.
You wrote it down. Must be true.
It's in a book. It's legit.
You're right. Exactly.
What team did that? You got to give us the team that did that.
The Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's got Sean McVay written all over it.
It's an alleged technique that George Allen used with the Rams. Yep. So
That's amazing.
all right. So here we go. Covert surveillance of targets' movements, hiding draft prospects by shuffling them in and out of hotels in aliases, tap telephones, signals interception, decoy signals, encryption, code breaking, and radio frequency jamming, false flag operations, monitoring air traffic and airline passengers.
Oh my God.
Spies scaling rooftops and telephone poles, and clandestine photography undertaken from high-rise hotels with long-lensed cameras. People's secret listening devices, surveillance photos relayed by zipline, and whispered conversations masked by running water. Stolen documents and trash cans sifted for secrets. Subversion of individuals mired in debt, and a hilltop secured by Navy SEALs.
You're telling me teams have Navy SEALs out here like spying on another team?
Mike Shanahan used that technique before Super Bowl to secure a hilltop that he was worried was going to be watched by his opponent. And so I imagine these guys were probably former Navy SEAls, but God,
I hope so.
I don't have the details, right? Either that or they're doing this on on a Saturday on their off day when they're not saving the world. But yeah, he's like, hey, I want this thing secured. So the funny thing is that a helicopter flew over that practice. And Pat Bowlen, who was the Broncos owner at the time, said that, man, he's like, you would have think, Mike Shanahan was furious, and he's looking at these Navy SEAls like, what are you going to do about this? Like he wanted to, take a surface air missile and shoot these dudes out of the sky.
Where's the anti-aircraft?
Right, man.
Exactly.
They got this shit in the Ukraine. Why don't we have it here?
So, this is just the crazy world of the NFL. That's the reality. It gets that wild.
What I'm hearing, though, is if teams and coaches go through all of that, and go to those extreme measures, Bill Belichick must have been extra lazy to have gotten caught doing it before the Super Bowl. Like how bad do you have to be at it if you're just having a lazy day and get caught? All of these things that we're hearing, it's like this is all brand new information to the common NFL fan.
It's the interesting thing, about Spygate, and I think the interesting thing is all the recording of team signals using video, and the using video part is the only thing that violates, I won't even say league rules, because it only violates the Ray Anderson memo, because it's not in any rules. It's not in any bylaws at all. Okay. So until that memo came out in 2006, the Patriots weren't violating diddly squat. Okay. So they taped other things signals all the way back from 2000. And frankly, I suspect it probably went on when Belichick was coaching with the Browns as well.
Sure.
But we know it's gone on since he basically started with the Pats. So yeah, I think it was a little bit of cockiness, arrogance, that he can, after the NFL sent out 2 memos saying that, hey, you can no longer do this, and other teams knew what was going on and reported it to the NFL, and then they go to play the Jets that have a former Patriots coach that was in the loop and knew exactly what the Patriots were doing. But Belichick still decides to go forth, even despite the coach calling him beforehand and saying, You will not do that here in my home stadium. It was sheer arrogance. That's all it was. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I hate to be that guy, but like that
No, you
doesn't
don't.
sound like Bill Belichick. I don't know, man. Something doesn't feel right about that reporting. I'm sorry. It just does not sound like Bill Belichick to me.
Biscuit said it sure as hell didn't help him when he was with the Browns. So Belichick just finely tuned it over the years.
That's what surprises me. If this stuff's been going back as long as it has, and it sounds like it's probably pretty pervasive, where I'm guessing you've got stories here and there about different teams or different techniques, but you probably assume that it's much more common to use those techniques. Why have the Browns and other teams like the Lions consistently sucked ass then?
So it's a good question. So look at the Browns.
That's two good questions, by the way. I just pointed that out.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. 2 for you. All
Mo-
right.
Mo- Mookie's
We'll
not used
start
to
it.
that, so you
Yeah,
have to excuse him.
So, let's take the Browns are a great example to go off of. Okay. So let's look at Paul Brown. Paul Brown was one of those guys, one of those coaches that was willing to use all different sorts of illicit collection techniques. Like he had staff personnel pretend to be reporters and go to other teams' practices, right?
That's awesome.
And all kinds of stuff Paul Brown was willing to do to get those wins and to collect on opponents. And he did a great job of it. Fantastic job of it. I mean, he was pretty much in every NFL championship game. The first 6 years he was in, practically until he was fired. And then, so absolute stud. But it's those coaches that are willing to go to those lengths to win, that are winning championships. And I'll run down some of the biggest culprits in the NFL's history. Okay. You got George Halas with the Bears. Okay. Sid Gilman with the Chargers. I don't think he ever got a championship, but man, talk about a guy that was in like the championship, at least the AFC or in the AFL championship game over and over and over again. Let's see. You've got Shanahan was one of those guys, used a lot of questionable ones there. Obviously, we've got Belichick today. You've got George Allen with the Rams and then later with the Redskins. I mean, these are Sid Gilman already, but these are some of the guys. Vince Lombardi, another one. These are great coaches that are revered in NFL history. But they were also guys that weren't scared to push the boundaries. And they also, because of that, because they knew how far they were willing to go, they were absolutely paranoid of other teams spying on them. So, but it's those teams that aren't paranoid that are getting rocked. Okay. You take the Patriots coaches came out and said after all things Spygate that, man, the teams they were most effective against were it was the other AFC East teams who frankly weren't very good at the time and didn't change their signals on a regular basis. And so they just weren't security conscious enough to prevent this type of stuff. And so, while having good players is great, it's everything else that comes into play that wins you those championships. It's, do you have good coaching? Do you do all those little extra things to get your wins? And all of that comes into effect. The diet, the stretching, the weightlifting, and the collecting information on your opponents and defending yourself against those collection techniques. All of that comes into play, and it's important.
Kevin, I got to interrupt you for 1 second because our intern Caesar made a face while you were talking and it was picked up in the comment section. And Tank said, did Caesar just realize the Browns? I saw the look on your face change, Caesar. Is that exactly what happened? You realized the Browns?
So he said Cleveland, they said the name Paul Brown, and I was like, Paul Brown. I was like, no fucking way this guy named his team after himself. I was like, no shot. I always wondered why the Browns were the Browns. I was like, oh, maybe because the river's brown, or maybe maybe because their soil that they built their houses on was brown. Or That was more like a geological reason. Not because the
Geological
not because the guy thought he
not
dick was
nepotism.
fucking massive.
It wasn't nepotism. It was geological.
Geological.
Or
Because
like
people in
the
Cleveland know
brown
what geology is.
trees Were like, I don't know.
Your
Oh my
face as
God.
you processed it all was amazing. I can't wait to go back and watch that happen again because it was like a light bulb just
Look,
went
you
off.
ask everyone below the age of like 25 if they knew that the Cleveland Browns were named after Paul Brown, and I guarantee you there's gonna be like 5.
Let's put it out there, man. Let's put that poll out there on the Twitter.
All right, we'll do that. We'll put that
So
out
with the lack of success that the Cowboys have had over the last 20 or so
What
years,
was that? What was that for?
are we
What
to
was
see?
that for?
Are we to see? My mind is going to. Has Jerry cut the cheating budget? Is that what we're to assume? Did he say we've got to pull back on how much for cheating, and invest more in draft picks, or what is it where teams that are traditionally like good or whatever can't quite seem to get over that hump if it's all about investing in this type of espionage?
So I'll answer that in 1 second, but I want to go back to the earlier point. So Paul Brown was not just a coach of the Browns; he also, after that, coached the Bengals.
Yeah.
So did you know that the Bengals were named after his pet tiger?
Yeah.
What? No way.
Caesar, that's the Brown family still owns the Bengals.
So they own the Bengals and the Browns. Oh no, they don't. The Ravens.
No, they started the Browns. No, they don't. They just own the Bengals.
Can we get the more rainbow for Caesar?
Just so you know, Caesar, I completely made that up. I just wanted to.
What the fuck? You're an impressionable 22-year-old here.
Hey, bro, if it makes you feel any better, I fell for it because it's like, I can kind of see that being true. I can see that fucker having one.
It's like Mike Tyson just chilling with the tiger in Ohio, like that. Yeah, that's how Mike Brown rolls. All right, sorry, Kevin,
Jerry Jones is a dog shit GM, but he's an amazing businessman. There.
Yeah, so the Cowboys. Obviously they've had their great years. And Jimmy Johnson. There's a guy who's willing to be a little unconventional and think outside the box. But he had a great team too. I mean, you look at that talent that's on that team, man. It's hard not to win Super Bowls with all those studs. But I will say this, when the Patriots got busted for Spygate, Jimmy Johnson was one of the first ones that came out. He was a broadcaster at that point. And he said, you know what? We used to do the same thing in Dallas. We used to record other team signals, but we couldn't do it effectively. We recorded it, but we couldn't use that information effectively. And that's one of the things that separates the teams that can, it's not just about collecting information. It's about, can you use it? Do you know how to assimilate it, digest it, and then be able to use it in a timely manner? Because if you can't, there's no point collecting it in the first place. And Jimmy Johnson just said, you know what? It's of no use to us. Let's just stop doing that. And because we're wasting our time, and we'll concentrate on other things. So, that's part of it. But I think Dallas just they don't have the talent like they used to have. And obviously,
Caesar's face.
Caesar begs to differ.
Is that a shock, Caesar?
It's not a shock, but we're still good.
Why not be mean like that, man?
You're not good. Stop.
We're good. So, we're going to win the division. We're good.
What? It's a dog shit division.
Exactly.
You know who the Cowboys are right now? They're the Raiders of 10 years ago. Okay?
I wasn't born.
They've got talent. They're just undisciplined. You look at the last.
Yeah, because they have a fucking jelly bean as our head coach.
Yeah.
A jelly bean. That's such a great burn, man.
That is.
I don't even know what to say to that.
I have this star above me every day, and they disappoint me every day.
The stars at night shine big and bright.
Stop.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
Kevin, let me ask you this. Scott kind of started down this path on his last question, and you've danced around this magnificently over the last 30 minutes or so. Is it cheating? Like you keep talking about spying and like pushing the boundaries and pushing the envelope. Is this cheating? Is what these guys are doing cheating?
Yeah. So I've broken Spies on the Sidelines down into sections. Okay, so the first section of my book is all about the illicit techniques that team use. Okay, so, or at least the controversial. So these are the techniques that are either break NFL rules, policies, or memos, because the NFL can't get its act together and actually make those policies. Right? Or they're topics that are, or techniques that are very controversial. Okay, so if you take lip reading, for example, that's the reason all those coaches hold up the play sheets over their mouth when they're calling signals, because there actually are professional lip readers that are good enough to be able to tell what another team is calling out. And when you match what they're saying with the play that is ran on the field, and you pair those up and match them, you can put 2 and 2 together. So, so there's things like that, which some coaches are going to go, man, that's a dirty tactic, right? It may not violate a rule, but it's just dirty. Okay. And then you've got stuff that is absolutely permissible, okay, like advanced scouting. And film study is a big part of that today. Or debriefing players that switch teams. Okay, sometimes that are brought in specifically a week or two before a game, right, off another team's practice squad, or that were recently
Seahawks.
Yeah. Every team in the NFL does this. Every team in the NFL does this, right? And then gathering information that's in the media. What if coaches or other players said that's, in TV interviews, on the radio, or that's, that a journalist has published that may be an insider with a certain team. So all these teams go through all these different techniques and look for that type of information. So the book covers all of that, from what you can do to stuff that's extremely shady and not allowed.
So, Mike, you tried to pin him down. Let me take a shot at a different angle here on this.
So good.
I know, right? It's
He
very
spent
squirrely.
23 years, man. 23 years.
Yeah.
What, you think you're going to get him in a few-minute interview? Come on.
I can drink enough to convince myself of that, yes. So in your professional opinion, with all this research you've done and kind of the way that you've looked at the correlation of what teams do and the outcomes of it, do you think it's more important for teams to gather said information or to protect themselves from being gathered against?
Yes.
Fuck.
Well done, Mookie. Well done.
Next question.
Yeah, I mean, they're both critical. So if you take something as simple as film study, right, which, man, it completely changes the game if you don't have that today. I mean, that advanced scouting, that film study, being able to identify tells and tendencies, which is really what they're trying to see with film study. Okay, so tendencies are, if a team has a 3rd and 1, what percentage of their time are they going to run certain plays? Okay, 60% of the time they're going to run up the middle, 20% of the time they're going to run out wide, the other 20% of the time they're going to do a screen pass or something like that, right? Okay, so it's being able to figure out so that when you're going to go call your defense to defend against them when they're in a 3rd and 1, statistically what you're likely to see. Okay, so that's the tendencies that teams can tell today. Tells are something like, just like when you play poker, right? You're playing pokers with your drunk buddies, which is pretty much everybody on the show right now, I think. And
He gets the show.
right, yeah. And some dudes, he does a cough or scratches his nose every time he's got a good hand, whatever he does, So that's a tell. And just like in poker, football players have tells too. Okay. There's wide receivers that will fiddle with their gloves when the ball's going to be passed to them, or they come charging out of the huddle anytime it's a pass play and then mosey out when it's a run play. Cause they're excited. Hey, I got a pass. I'm going to go, I'm going to go get in my position and get ready to go. Right.
Keyshawn.
Yeah. Terrell Owens used to do that. So, it's that's critical to the game. And all the different types of, being able to debrief players that come from other teams, a lot of information that can come out of that. Very important. But on the other hand, man, if you're not protecting yourself and dealing with the threat. So let's say debriefing a player. If someone just signed a guy off your practice squad that you're about to play, Do you think you want to maybe consider changing stuff? Right? I would. And maybe if you're really smart, and this is where the real good teams separate themselves from the other, right? Because everybody knows, okay, the sucky teams don't change anything. They lose, okay? You know, they're stuck in perpetual football hell and can't get out of it.
The Lions.
Right? The medium level teams, they will change at least some things, okay? Because there's not time to change everything, but they'll change some things. The really good teams try to sucker the opponent in, okay? They go, you know what? I know this guy knows that he knows this play call. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the same name or same signal for that play or same audible, but that's now going to be a different play. And so if it's a 3rd and 1 and it was typically a run up the middle, well, they just changed that play to a fake handoff and then go for a long pass down the seam for 30, 40 yards, right? So they're trying to sucker in the other teams. And that's really where you'll see teams begin to separate themselves. The good coaches can do that and know how to be able to employ that level of trickery. And the ones that aren't doing as well, they don't.
Dan Campbell.
So when you're
name dropping here.
Oh, those traps.
So when you're doing all your research and basically figuring out kind of sort of how the sausage is being made, does that change your perspective, like in your fandom of the NFL at all? Like it's got a little, right?
You know, so yes and no. So I'll say I started out kind of like, I was like, man, those, you know, I read up a lot on, you know, Patriots, and I was like, man, those guys and blah, 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 blah. And I would say this, when it's going on today, it irks me a little bit, right? Because I'm like, oh man, these guys are competing against my Broncos team, or, you know, whoever you follow, right? It kind of, you're like, oh, that's not really fair. But when I read about it historically, I find that I just find it fascinating. So I'll give you an example, man. Like as a Broncos fan, I couldn't stand Al Davis growing up, right? I was like,
Who could?
Everybody
I was
hates the
going to say
Raiders.
the same thing, Scott.
Yeah.
Who could?
And I think towards the end of his career, you know, Al Davis he wasn't on top of his game, and he became a little bit of a joke around NFL circles. But in his, in his prime, Al Davis did not have a peer. He was the best at what he did. He was a great coach, GM, et cetera, but he was also one of those coaches and GMs that was absolutely the best on collecting information from other teams. And so when I read stories about him, you know, like sneaking into an opponent's locker room dressed as a reporter and sitting down with a player and saying, hey, what was the toughest thing for you to ever defend against? And that player pulls out a board and starts diagramming stuff on the board for Al Davis. He's sitting there taking notes.
Right? You didn't go to UT.
I gain a newfound respect for a guy like that.
Yeah,
I'm like, holy cow, this dude's awesome. I love
How
this.
did that guy not recognize him? I mean, I know it was the olden days and there wasn't, you know, the Facebook and whatnot, but
this was when he was an assistant coach and he was under Sid Gilman with the Chargers back in the day before he was big time.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I was just like, are you kidding? Because I'm picturing the Al Davis.
You're
sitting
picturing
down.
him like just
Well,
win, baby,
just win,
rolling
baby.
out
Right,
from
yeah.
the other box.
So if you read any books other than Spies on the Sidelines, which should absolutely be your
Which
first
is
pick,
definitely
right?
not happening. I
Right.
can only read one every year. It's going to be yours, but I can only read one.
Okay, so let's talk about 5 years down the road when you pick up book number 2.
That
okay?
sounds good. Yeah, now we're talking.
Al Davis is a great character to read up on, man. He is just such a funny guy. All his life, he has been a character. I mean, he literally lied, cheated, and stole his way to get where he was, even to get his start in coaching. He pretended to be another guy who was a coach named Al Davis. Someone said, they said, are you the Al Davis? And he said, yeah, I'm the Al Davis. And they're like, oh, great. Well, we're going to hire you then. So,
Ohio State is going to sue him.
Yeah, for a lot.
So, fascinating character. Yeah.
All right. Here's what I'm gonna do, Kevin. Because you're still dancing around this and you're getting close to
Oh,
coaching.
man.
I'm gonna name some coaches from the past. You tell me dirty, rotten cheater or not. Okay, those are your only two options. You can't say, he did that. No, he's either a dirty, rotten cheater or he's not.
Oh, man.
John Madden, dirty, rotten cheater or not?
Just passed away.
Not maybe.
Oh.
Not maybe.
Not maybe.
Okay. Tony Dungy, dirty, rotten cheater or not?
No, I
Yes.
think Dungy's pretty squared away. He's a pretty clean guy. I don't have any info on him, but I can't imagine him doing too much that's way outside those lines.
Now, hold on though. I'm pretty sure I heard he picked up that tab for all the Mai Tais.
Peyton Manning makes like 6 times what Tony Dungy.
What, you think NBC ain't taking care of him? Come on.
Mike Ditka, dirty, rotten cheater or not?
With the Bears. That was an interesting team, and I've got some stuff. I
Sounds like yes. It sounds like a yes.
I can't confirm Ditka went too far, but
He also can't deny it. He can't deny
that,
it.
that was a guy. If I had to suspect somebody, right? If I had to look into somebody that I was like, this is probably one of the likely dudes, I might start an investigation with him. He'd be up there on the list. And I love
Based on his kneeling stance, I'd say you're accurate on that.
Oof.
All right. How about Jim Mora, dirty, rotten cheater or not?
So here's the thing, man. So the closer you get to modern day, the tougher it gets to answer, right? So I'll tell you why. Because all these dudes that write books, nobody's coming out with diddly squat in the modern game. So I can tell you, when it comes to the modern game, I can tell you a lot of stuff about coaches that are either using techniques that are permissible, or their countermeasures that they're using, or maybe techniques that are a little controversial. Okay. But if you're talking about stuff that is absolutely like breaking rules, man, guys don't talk about that. They just don't. Because, right, for the most part, I mean, really the only guys, the modern game that you can talk about, Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick, absolutely, and then, everybody else, it's dicey. It's tough. It's tough to know whether they're, how far they're going. When you look back and you look at the history of the NFL, I think that's the neat thing about the book. It's not necessarily about who do we rat out. Okay. Because for the most part, throughout the history of the NFL, what you're going to see is tons of teams are doing this. Tons and tons and tons of teams are doing stuff that breaks rules. And frankly, what we consider cheating as fans, okay, is not necessarily what NFL coaches are going to consider cheating. So I'll give you some examples of this. So if a bunch of guys, several guys get caught trying to sneak into a practice facility to be able to like watch, photograph, or tape a practice, man, that's par for the NFL. Okay. So there are going to be teams that absolutely are going to try to run a mini investigation, figure out who these guys belong to. But there are going to be other coaches too that just go, you know what? This happens all the time. And frankly, just get out of here. Just leave. And these are some of the same dudes that are, why they don't care? Because they're going, you know what? We do the same stuff, man. I don't want to make a big stink of this. I
don't want it coming back on me.
I don't want to come. That's exactly it. Because, in the history of the NFL, there's an interesting story about George Allen when he was with the Rams, and he sent a guy down to watch a practice. All right. So he had a guy in a car, sitting in a car watching the practice of another team. Well, the dude gets spotted, and before he can get away, the other team's security writes down the license plate of the car that goes speeding off. So they track it back to the Rams because it's a rental car. Okay. And they find out that this dude is staying in a hotel, all this kind of stuff. So the opposing team brings it up with the NFL. And then what do the Rams do? The Rams make a counter accusation. They're like, well, we were doing this, but your spy, who was named Bucko, that was his nickname, right? Who's some 300 pounds scout. Okay. They're like, hey, Bucko was up in it. We saw Bucko up in a tree at our practice facility, and he was watching our games. Okay. Which, everybody knew that was BS, and I'm sure they had a good laugh about it. But that's exactly what happens if you accuse, if you go accusing another team, they're just going to point the finger right back at you. Like, okay, hey, yeah, maybe we do this, but you do this over here. So you got, if you live, people live in glass houses, don't throw rocks, right? And it's kind of like that in the NFL. So
I just like to point out that Bill Walsh's good name has not been brought up once during
I
this.
was going
Continue.
to know that was
Continue.
my
Bill Walsh is a saint, and he would never do any of this.
I was gonna say
Lean.
Bill Walsh.
Lean
During
all
our
the way
team.
through.
I
No,
was leaving him for last.
don't you dare.
So
I want to
Badass.
cut you
Bill
off.
Walsh.
So one of the things I thought that was really interesting about Walsh, so spying is and collecting information on your opponents. Obviously, it's huge. It's really helpful and all that kind of stuff. And what you'll see in my book is, so many championships and Super Bowls have been majorly impacted or won based on this type of stuff. But what I will say is that if you have a superior team that's just like way better than your opponent, sometimes it doesn't matter. Okay. Sometimes it just doesn't matter. And Bill Walsh and the 49ers with Joe Montana and all that, during that time period, we're a great example of that because there's a story in my book about how one of their backup quarterbacks went to another team and he was sitting there on the other bench and realized that the 49ers hadn't bothered to change their signals, their offensive play call signals in 10 years. Okay. 10 years. That's when he was with the team. Okay. And so this quarterback, he's feeding the defensive coordinator all the upcoming plays of the 49ers. And guess what? 49ers still kicked their butt.
Yep. Checks out.
Yeah, they were just that stinking good.
When you scout well and develop players well, you don't need to cheat, Bill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and that, when it comes to the 49ers, there's another interesting story in there. One of the topics of my book is the draft, how teams collect on how they assess draft prospects and how they assess how other teams value prospects. So they assess the assessments of other teams, right? Because you never want to, right? You never want to overpay for a guy that you're drafting, right? So why draft a guy in the first round if you can get him in the third round? And that's exactly what the 49ers did with Joe Montana. Okay. So actually they valued Joe Montana above the round that they picked him in, but they said, you know what? Other teams don't value him as highly as we do. So we're going to slide down in the draft and pick him up later, which is what they did. And I'm sure if they, would have found out, and what Joe Montana was going to become, they wouldn't have taken any chances. They wouldn't have drafted him in the first round, no matter what they thought any team was going to pick him at. But it just goes to show, you really the collection part of the NFL. It encompasses everything. The assessments of other teams, how other teams weight lift, the techniques they use to weight lift. They collect on that. They probably collect on how other teams eat. What's their dietary program? Their nutritional program. They're looking at everything to get an edge on their opponents because the NFL is built on parity these days. The NFL draft and the salary cap are pushed these teams to, they're so close now. And so many games are decided by 7 points or less. Just look at last year's playoffs. Every game was coming down to who got the ball last. It was awesome.
Oh, no, it fucking killed me. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean,
all those double-digit spreads and shit. Awesome.
Yeah. But it just goes to show, you need every little advantage you can get, and teams are doing all of that. And, and that's what I cover in the book is a lot of that type of stuff. Just how far
Zach
they're
Taylor
willing to
must
go.
have had all the info on Ryan Tannehill.
God.
That's all I'm saying.
Nobody needed any info on Tannehill.
Yeah, it was just he's going to throw interceptions. We got this.
Ryan Tannehill, dog. That was his analysis. So before we drift too far away from Mike's little whatever earlier, where we were trying to pin you down on some stuff, I got one last one.
You're going to try one more time and
You're
fail?
going to try one more time.
Slippery.
I'm going to be honest, bro. Kev, this is a layup. Don't fuck this up, man. Brian Kelly, dirty, rotten cheater or no?
He's college.
He's never been in the NFL. Why would he know that? Like, what?
That was my question.
Research college ball, Mook.
That was
That's
my-
the point, man. He should know that we are anti-Brian Kelly on this show.
I was
So
gonna ask that question, but not about Brian Kelly.
I don't know. So I will say this. So my next book that I'm writing, I'm currently in the middle of writing, is on college football.
Thank God. That was my question. That was my question.
Yeah. So I get into all that, and it's different in college football, and it's different with what's allowed and what's permissible, right? I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there.
Yes. No. Brian Kelly, dirty man, cheater.
Even the layup that I thought he'd be like, yeah, he's not going to burn any bridges talking about BK, but no, teaser for his next book.
What I've learned from Kevin during this interview is about tells, and Kevin's tells are giving away, baby. Yeah.
Was that a tell or a tendency though? Because he's said it a couple times in a row now.
I have noticed the tendency when Kevin doesn't want to answer the question. There's a good pause, and then he's like,
Complete the fifth.
He doesn't have a whole section on Urban Meyer.
Well, so here's the thing. There's, so when I'm in the middle of writing it, right, I've got a lot of suspicions on a bunch of coaches. On, who are the guys that I want to research? That's one of the first things that I always start with,
I
right?
came a bunch, Kevin.
Who are those guys that I expect of being dirty, rotten rats, right? Okay, so because those are the guys I want to get the books on.
Jimbo
and
Fisher.
I want to interview people that know these guys, right? So, I try to go there, but having said that, without kind of putting together a whole picture of these guys, I'm very hesitant to just label somebody as a dirty, rotten rat based off one interview or one book that I've read. I try to really put a big picture together before I go. I want to go to those
Yeah, you
things.
sound like a professional.
So,
We just like to label guys
I
off of
know.
just speculative
know.
stuff. We're like
Yeah.
Nick Saban, dirty rotten cheater.
dirty, rotten cheater.
All right.
man.
Yep.
Jimbo Fisher.
You know what? You
bitch.
don't even
I'm
have to
gonna-
talk to Brian Kelly's family to know that he's a dirty
Brian.
rotten cheater.
His
I'm gonna
family.
make you guys happy. Everybody, every coach that you've mentioned, every team that you've mentioned so far tonight, dirty rotten cheaters. All of them. Everybody.
No, shut the fuck up, Scott. Bill Walsh is one too. No.
Cheater.
Bill Walsh, dirty rotten cheater.
Dirty rotten cheater.
Kevin, I got one more serious question for you, and then we'll get into we do quick hitters with our guests every time, just like gut instinct questions that have nothing to do with your book. But I did want to ask you quickly about coaching trees. So what's interesting to me is you're looking at these coaches. They've got all these things that they do. The good ones are very involved in this. You talked about Mike Shanahan, Bill Belichick, obviously. But what's interesting to me is like the Bill Belichick coaching tree is complete dog shit outside of like Nick Saban, I guess. Like all of his assistants are just terrible. So do you think like coaches have these things that they do, but they're not divulging all of the information of their assistant coaches, and that's why the assistant coaches aren't as successful? Like they can pick up on how to run the practices, how to implement the offense, but they don't have the key ingredient of how to spy on the other teams.
Yeah, so when it comes to the coordinators typically know most of the stuff that's going on. Most. However, I will say this. When it comes to offensive collection operations in the NFL, especially those that are illicit, so like spying on another team's practice, those are very compartmentalized, okay? That's going to remain within a very small group of people, right? Because if push comes to shove and people get in trouble, they don't want a lot of people knowing about it. And, we saw that with Spygate, but that goes on everywhere. So what I will say is that when it comes to coaching trees and collecting information, you absolutely see that in the NFL. So I'll give you an example. Sid Gilman with the Chargers. Okay. And I'd love to trace it back further than him, but I can at least start from Sid Gilman. Okay. So Al Davis was an assistant coach with him. Okay. Bill Belichick absolutely idolized Al Davis and was at one point interviewed to be the defensive coordinator of the Raiders.
And we're talking about the Al Davis, right?
Okay.
I just want to verify. Make sure we're talking about the right
Al
one.
Davis. Yeah. So, and even during that interview, Al Davis tried to, it was a 2-day long interview that Belichick basically ended it by saying, hey, more or less was like, yeah, I know what you're doing. You're trying to pick my brain for everything I know. I got it. So, but when you look at these coaching trees, right, and you see these guys, these guys are learning it. from the head coach that they were previously under. A lot of these techniques and tactics. So why doesn't that work with the Patriots is the big question, right? Why can't you take that knowledge and apply it elsewhere? Well, obviously there's more than just, collecting information and protecting information that goes into being a good coach. But what I would say is this. The Patriots have a dude on their team named Ernie Adams. Okay. And he is someone that almost nobody knows anything about, but he's one of the top, probably 3 or 4 smartest guys in the entire NFL. Okay. He's not a coach. He basically does the special projects for the Patriots, which includes collecting information on other teams. And he's a savant. He's been with Belichick since high school. They're old high school buddies.
Oh,
okay.
Cute.
He has a photographic memory. He can literally recall a play and say, oh, I recognize this play. This was used in the 1972 Super Bowl by blah, 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 blah. And the dude is just amazing. So the Patriots' success is not just Belichick and Tom Brady. It is Belichick, Ernie Adams, and Tom Brady. And, no longer Tom Brady, obviously, and no longer the same success. But, you can't think about the Patriots and their success that they had without Ernie Adams. And he goes back with Belichick to the Browns. And they were involved in some shady stuff back then. Like one of their former coaches that was with the Browns one of their former coaches that was with the Patriots was told the story that back when Belichick and Adams were with the Browns, that they would record other teams' whiteboards on their sidelines, right? And to see what was written on there to try to decipher it all. So
like with video cameras, like they would zoom in with video cameras during the game.
I think it was before the game when they were, people would be wandering the sidelines.
But still, not like practice the week of, like during the game,
We're talking game day. Yep. So
crazy motherfuckers, man.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think because what makes the Patriots great is not necessarily just their collection, it's how to use that information. And Ernie Adams was the guy who would say, okay, we're getting information on team signals from our video that we're recording from games. We're getting it off of what we can get off the TV recording. We're getting off of bringing other players in from other teams and then asking them about stuff that we already know. Hey, does this signal right here or this audible, does it still correspond to this play? And you're putting all of this to get all these different collection techniques that they use to be able to answer their requirements, the information they want to know about other teams. And you've got a guy with a photographic memory putting all of this together, who's an absolute stud and a genius. And man, it's a huge advantage. It's a huge advantage. And it's something Belichick doesn't have to spend all his time worrying about because he's got a brain behind him doing it. I think that's a big reason why that success cannot be replicated elsewhere.
So there you go, Mookie. Matt Patricia, it wasn't all his fault. He just didn't have the guy behind the guy.
Didn't have the brain. Now, before we get to quick hitters, then I do want to interject real quick because I think this is a perfect segue into the last thing I want to ask you, Kevin, because you're right. Bill Belichick doesn't have to worry about this because he has a brain behind him. And I'm going to take a leap as the senior member of this ticket that we're running on. And Caesar, I think we need to offer Kevin Secretary of Staff or press secretary role when we run for office. So, Kevin, how do you feel being part of our squad running for office here in 2024?
Well, as much as you guys,
there's the tell.
Yeah, there's the tell. Yeah, he's like letting down real easy.
I had me on mute.
So I'm not opposed to helping you guys out. I'm just thinking, as much as you guys all drink, if you're going to be running for public office, there's going to be a bunch of stories coming out about all of you guys, and you're going to need somebody to suppress all of that type of information and to pay off people, to bribe people, et cetera, et cetera. So I think I would be better used, kind of doing that security function for you. So just, yeah.
See, you're already nailing the job. You got the job, man. You don't have to interview anymore because you already took what I threw out there. Like, you know what? But how about we do this instead?
Yeah,
you are exactly right. Let's go. We are building this cabinet now.
Kevin will lock down your Mar-a-Lago. You're good. Don't worry.
Yeah.
That's right. The good
Your
news
betting
is, though,
slips will look
Kevin,
a
we're
lot
also
better,
kind of
too.
broke, so like we can't really do that much damage or go that far away from home. So like it contains things in a smaller area too.
Hey, the best thing is when you know all the secrets about the big and powerful people, you know you're gonna have a big salary. So
That's
you know,
true.
I'm
You're gonna be
I'm
okay.
excited about this. This is great.
It's gonna be. Oh, it's good. It's only looking up from here. Let's go.
Scott, why don't you get the quick hitters queued up for Kevin and for everybody else?
So I can bring that up.
Yep, I got you. Kevin Bryant is with us tonight. He is the author of the new book, Spies on the Sidelines, the high stakes world of NFL espionage. You can find the book. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. Go to spiesonthesidelines.com. There's audiobooks available. Audible is coming soon, right, Kevin?
That's correct. Yep, that'll be out.
Is it you reading it?
No, so it's actually my dad reading it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I just didn't have the time to
That's
be
fair.
able to put it all together.
Too
And,
busy doing, illustrious shows like this one. So I get it.
Right.
I understand.
Precisely. Yeah. I mean, I'm working a full-time job. I'm promoting the book. I'm now, I don't know what are we gonna. What's my official position going to be?
Doesn't matter. You don't need an official position.
Second.
You're just part of the
Like
team.
NSA of
I'm
Caesar and
El
I don't
Jefe.
know.
Of
You know what? No.
Backroom Sports.
El Jefe Day special
Wait,
projects.
wait, don't lump me in on Mookie and Caesar's ticket. That's their thing. I don't want any part of this. I'm probably voting against them. I'm not gonna lie. I don't
What
care
the
who's running
fuck?
against.
Listen, first of all, I never said we're running for an office that was voted on. Okay, so just slow your roll there. First of all,
We could take
second,
over Ohio.
I think special projects, VP of special projects.
I like that. That's
We'll
good.
take a page out of Belichick's book, right? The Fixer says says what?
Fixer. Yes, the fixer is
Yeah.
the way to go.
I did dig Olivia Pope, man. Whew, man, she
Wow.
great.
All right, weird. Scott, you got those
Thank you.
quick hitter questions.
Yeah,
ready to
thank
go?
God. I got him ready to
Great quote on
go.
Mookie. He was doing so well for most
Wait
of
a
the
minute. No,
interview.
hold on a minute. Are you telling me that y'all never watched Scandal?
Hey, I'm aware of who she is.
All right,
Bro.
Kevin, here's how this works. We're gonna have Scott ask you. Thank you for muting. We're gonna have Scott ask you some very intense questions. Hence the music that's very scary. These are gut reactions. Don't think too hard. Don't give us your tell. You need to just answer
You
right
have
away
to answer them.
which one you think is correct. And
Okay.
then this would determine whether or not we like you and maybe bring you back.
It's true.
It's very high stakes.
Man, this is high stakes. Okay.
Here we go. Plain cake donuts. Yay or nay?
Yay.
Yes.
Okay.
Bat flips. Yay or nay?
Yay.
Yeah.
There you go. Here, we're getting a little personal. When you
Strong
button your
yay.
shirt, do you button from the top down or from the bottom up?
Bottom up.
Congratulations. Correct
No,
answer.
that's incorrect.
Same
That's-
thing. When you zip your pants, do you zip then button or button then zip?
I'm trying to remember the last time I wore a pair of pants. Clothes, buttons, and a zipper. And I think if you do, you're probably like way out of fashion. I don't know.
I button and zip.
Thank you, Caesar. Thank you
That's
for
the right
I
answer.
started that question.
Okay, now we get into the real serious ones. Are IPAs just pumpkin spice lattes for white dudes?
Yep.
That's correct.
Answer. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
no.
I-
You gotta let him do that in this part.
Get this
You
man
gotta
down.
answer.
Chicken wings. All drums or all flats?
Drums.
Interesting. All right. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Oh, heck yeah.
Attaboy.
Wow.
There you
wow.
go.
An emphatic answer on that
I'll
one.
put anything on a pizza, just about. The more toppings, the better.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke. Not a huge on either, though.
Fair enough. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Be careful with this answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Damn it, Kevin.
No!
Damn it, Kevin.
Oh.
So well, Kevin. You're doing so well.
Let's see if you can redeem yourself. Topanga or Kelly Kapowski?
don't even know how to answer that question.
I know.
Gut instinct. Go.
Kowalski.
Fair
That's
enough.
a good question. There's no wrong
Yeah,
answer.
there really isn't right.
And finally, Jordan or LeBron.
Jordan.
Correct answer.
Good answer.
Ended on a
All right.
walk-off.
Not even close.
Listen,
Not even close.
He earned it, everybody. I think it's a consensus. You do
I
not
won't forget
get
that
booed.
Die Hard one quickly though. Like that's gonna linger for a while. We're gonna have
That
to
is
work
gonna
through that
hurt.
issue.
That really hurts. Biscuit says he lost me on pineapple pizza. And I don't know what Robert Taylor. I wish I had seen it. Robert
Yeah.
Taylor was going along with the questions, but I hadn't seen them. But he was like, "I hate him already. Love him. Back in my good graces. Totally wrong, Kevin." And then
Boo, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know what answers
Oh, that's
correspond.
fair enough, man.
these
Yeah.
questions are very divisive.
Hey, so here's my pizza when I go get it, right? Because I like going to your pie where you can like pile on whatever you want for the same
Sounds like a
price.
Subway, but for pizzas.
Salami, pepperoni, pineapple, cilantro, olives,
Green or black?
green peppers, black.
Racist.
I'll do pesto and red sauce together. Man, I'm just slapping stuff on there. I love it.
This place doesn't charge by the topping.
No,
like you
that's
just
the great thing about it, man. So I
That
love a
sounds
combo
amazing.
pizza, and it's the best spot to go because whether you get a cheese pizza or whether you put everything on. And I saw some dude walk out with like, he had toppings like this thick on top of the pizza. Right? It's the same price. I was like, that dude's a genius.
He just stocked up on groceries for the week. He
I
didn't
was
actually
gonna
get
say,
pizza.
you could just get a couple of meals out of it. Like I'm just gonna
Right.
throw what I want to eat tomorrow. I just came in for a cheese pizza, but hey, I gotta eat lunch tomorrow.
If I was homeless, that's where I'd go every day. I'd be like, hey, just give me that pizza. I want it like that.
Speaking of homeless, Joe Hall, take note.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, thank you very much for coming on and talking about the book. This has been really fun and enlightening. And God, I really want to know more about this stuff.
I have a new outlook on every coach in the NFL now. Like I feel like I'm going to be watching, and be like, ooh, they
dirty rotten cheater.
Exactly.
All of them. They're all of them, right? Yeah, we confirmed that.
No, this is just like baseball and steroids. They're all on it. They're all doing it. So technically, thereby, it's not really cheating. It's all legal because everybody's doing it.
Kevin, you're welcome to hang out with us for the rest of the show too. We probably got like another 15 minutes or so. If you got it yet,
show.
Totally fine. It's up to you, man.
No, that sounds good. I'll hang out with you guys.
All right, awesome. Let's do
I'm
this real
listening
quick
now.
because I did see Joe Hall in the comments. So, Kevin, we have a friend of ours, Joe Hall, who is currently walking across the country for charity. He's raising money for the Dayton Children's Hospital here in Ohio. He is. We've
Not
got
technically homeless. He's not technically.
Yeah, not
homeless.
technically homeless, but he could use that pizza advice.
Yeah.
So Joe is in Schuyler, Nebraska tonight.
That sounds
He's
boring.
camping out. Here's an update on the map. He has made it into Nebraska, crossed through Iowa. So let's zoom in here a little bit. He's, like I said, Schuyler, Nebraska. He's almost to the halfway point. Kearney, Nebraska is halfway to the end of his walk in San Francisco. Kevin, if you've got any contacts at the Niners that we can hook Joe up with, like, hey, let's get him on the field or something, we should talk. We should figure this out.
Or just some fresh socks, even honestly.
Yeah, even just something, something like that. But if you guys that are watching want to donate, again, hallacrossthecountry.com. You can donate to Run a Mile for Jackson that goes to the Dayton Children's Hospital, or go and buy Joe a hotel room for the night. You can donate directly to him. And as always, when we talk about Joe, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, 988 is the number. If you or anybody you know needs help, don't hesitate to reach out. 988 is the number to call. There's your Joe Hall update for the week. Killing it, man. Into Nebraska. That's insane.
I gotta be honest. He commented earlier, and he's not calling in. So, like, are we sure he's okay with the raccoon situation?
I don't know. He's
I know it was in Iowa, but dude, there's raccoons everywhere.
He went
Like,
30 plus
and they
miles
talk.
today. He walked 30 plus miles today. So that's why I
Holy
was like, Joe,
shit.
don't worry about calling in. He didn't get into town until like 8 o'clock his time.
Wait a
I was
minute.
like, don't
He
call
walked
in.
30 miles today. Wasn't gonna call in, but then still had time to talk shit about me. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate
Well, there's
you.
always
dog.
time for that, just like there's always room for Jello.
I like Jello. Luby's Jello.
Mookie, I can't believe you didn't call me out on not doing the transition before Kevin came on, but we'll go ahead and do it now for you. Let's talk a little more football. Scott, the Pony Express is back, baby. Did you
What?
hear about this? You didn't hear about the Pony Express SMU? They're finally coming off of their death penalty from paying players back in the day. Like, they're starting to get their program back up and running. There is a collective at SMU that is now offering all of their football players a yearly salary of $36,000 a year. Like, they're like, you know what? The Pony Express rides again, baby. We're just gonna flat out pay them. Let's go. You can't do shit about it, NCAA.
I missed that, but that's awesome. I want SMU to become a power again because of that.
There's too many in Texas already. They could stay sucking. I just needed to be Texas, and that's it.
Yeah, well, we're not worried about you
Well,
and your
Texas
Texas
ain't paying the
fandom.
salary, bro.
We're worried about chaos.
Kevin, did you
no.
hear the college football news that broke today about the college football playoff committee? There was a call that apparently on the call of the committee, they discussed for about 5 minutes, hey, we should probably think about maybe breaking away from the NCAA for football and just being college football is on its own. It's not under the NCAA. How do you think, Kevin, from, you're starting to research college football, do you see that as a direction that we end up in here in the near future?
I doubt it, but it's so different now. It's just crazy. I mean, the last few years with the names, images, and likeness deal, and then also the one-time transfer rule, which is about to become the unlimited transfer rule, from what I hear.
Yeah.
So what used to be you recruit a player. Now you have to, let's say you're Arizona State, right? You got a decent program, but you're not a great program. Okay. So what it means is if you get a top tier player that, like, he's a freshman, he has a great year, you have to, like, basically re-recruit that guy every single year, because every team's coming after him that's a powerhouse to try to get this guy. And it is absolutely insane. It's like a Wild West when it comes to the recruiting world. And recruiting is one of the topics I get into in the book that is different than obviously way different than the NFL book. But I tell you, man, you want to talk about shady stuff that goes on. There is nothing that goes on in the NFL that is shadier than the world of college football recruiting.
Lane Kiffin. Sorry.
Okay, wait. He found his punter at a frat party. That's the greatest story I've ever heard.
I was gonna try to bring that in there at some point.
You mentioned Arizona State
party.
You mentioned Arizona State. Herm Edwards, dirty rotten cheater, or no?
Hell yeah, they all are in college.
Well, I mean, we've already established that everybody is, right?
Yeah, Scott threw it out there. Kevin seconded it. The motion passed, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And actually, it's funny you say that, Mike, because didn't he actually get in trouble for violating practice guidelines and shit?
Yeah.
So it's like
He's a dirty rotten cheater.
Even by the NCAA's standard, he's a dirty rotten cheater.
Well, Kevin, you talked about like going to unlimited transfers and like this world that we're going to. It almost seems like that's more of a reason for them to break away from the NCAA, because then the college football committee, the college football playoff committee, can then decide their own rules and what's acceptable and what's not, rather than relying on the NCAA and their red tape and bullshit to come up with this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility, but I would say, as much as as many changes as the NCAA has made, why do you want to break away now? I think teams, the big powerhouse teams that all of this favors, okay, and that's who it favors.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you've got everything you've always wanted, like everything that the boosters used to do that was illegal, such as SMU, which I talk about, which I've got in the, that's coming up in the new book. Okay. Talk about that whole scandal and whatnot. Everything that they got busted for, you can now legally do. So why do you even want to break away? You've got everything set up for you. It's perfect. It's great. You've got all this money that you can just throw at players. and you've got all the TV deals already built in. It's a cash cow. I would be surprised if they pull away just because. What are you hoping to gain from it now that you don't already have?
Wait, Kevin, are you basically saying where are you gonna go?
Oh, Mookie, you son of a bitch! You son of a.
At least once a show.
On the day that Joey Votto goes out for the year, you go and pull that? Are you kidding me?
Hey, I can't help it, man. It's the reality of the situation. That's what he said. Where are you gonna go?
I feel like you want me to weigh in on a lover's quarrel topic there, so
Always.
I'll just leave that alone.
To maybe make Mike feel a little bit better, I do feel like we have to give a rap air horn to Scott the Jet here. I don't know if you saw the Dennis Green comment, but Scott chimes in as we were talking the last one. Goes, Dennis Green knew they were all dirty, rotten cheaters, and he still let him off the hook.
And then Matt Barr taking strays at Joey Votto, saying Joey Votto retiring with 1 career RBI. He meant in the postseason, not what Joey Votto has way more.
He did at least correct himself, but still, it's fucking terrible.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. All right, so Scott, you're the college football hater. Like, how do you take that news of college football at least starting the discussion? It's still a long ways out. It was a 5-minute discussion on a call, but this is the first reported instance of the College Football Playoff Committee being like, maybe we should look into this.
I believe the genesis of our friendship goes back to I just want chaos when it comes to college football. Having no dog in the fight, I want whatever upsets the apple cart the most. And this is going to rustle the jimmies of so many traditionalists that I'm all the way here for it. Bring me all of it.
Caesar with the youth
the
opinion.
hand raise. Thank you for
the floor recognizes.
That yields his time to Caesar.
Caesar, are you still in high school?
No, I'm not.
Hey, he's a college graduate, motherfucker. Put some respect on his name. College grad. He can get a DUI now, you know.
The thing is that there's a lot of voices going on, and remember, I'm a lowly level intern here, and then there's a guest. So
Okay.
I gotta make sure that I don't want to just get involved in a random conversation. But so what? I mean, I'm assuming y'all heard. I know Mookie did about the European Super League, where they got all the best teams around Europe and they should make their own league. That's what college football is going to become. College football is going to be like if you think of the great state of Texas and all the great programs that's in it. So you're just going to get like UT, A&M could go to the fucking like the champions. They could go like in like the.
Hey Caesar, what's Texas ranked in the AP ranking?
We're not.
Okay, just checking.
Wait, no. It's the AP poll. So I mean, we're good. It doesn't matter.
But hey,
doesn't matter.
Mike.
We're around Notre Dame by the end of the season. We'll be fine.
Texas State Championship. They can get a ring themselves this year if they win all the big games.
Are you claiming that the AP doesn't matter because it's just a bunch of writers? Like, that's really rude to our guest Kevin that you would say that.
No, that's not what I said. I would have said that if I meant
I'm
that.
offended on his
Hang
behalf.
on. I think we need to stop, Caesar. You need
We
to
literally have
You
a
need to
wise
apologize
guy
to
poll.
Kevin and all writers right now. Apologize to Kevin.
I'm a writer. Nothing published.
Apologize to Kevin and yourself right now.
I'm sorry myself, and I'm sorry, Kevin, for doing absolutely nothing.
I applied for absolutely fucking nothing.
The double champ does what he wants. Anyways, so what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna have UT versus USC versus Ohio State versus Florida State, where it's gonna be a probably 30-team conference, and they have their own little 30-team league. It's just gonna be the European Super League of college football. That's what's gonna happen.
What we're going to now under the NCAA. The question is, do they stay under the NCAA or do they
no, that's what I'm saying. They'll go to the college football
playoffs. We're already
playoffs.
getting to a 30-team Super League or 2 Super Leagues between the SEC and the Big Ten.
We got Kevin. We broke Kevin. As Ed asked the question, is Mookie wearing a red tracksuit?
Bayern Munich jersey.
It could be the top half, but you know.
Munich.
Hang on. Why does Ed's picture on YouTube look like he's
Joe.
about to go on a rant on Facebook about the
He's on
government?
Truth Social.
Like, what is happening here?
While in his truck, right?
That
Mookie
fucking
got a red
brown
tracksuit.
boy on CBS.
No, it's a Bayern Munich jersey. Wearing it for a little shout out to my boy Lewandowski for making his premiere with Barca, which went super well. But best Polish soccer player of all time getting paid, that's always a good time in my book.
Are you Polish?
100%, baby.
Here's the pitch. Oh, shit.
That's dope.
You know what they call me?
Let's talk baseball.
You know what they call me, though? They call me Derby Ready because I'm thoroughbred, motherfucker.
I don't know what thoroughbred means.
100%. I'm
Oh,
pure.
dope. That's hard.
I'm just
That's hard.
all
That's hard.
bullish.
That's hard. That's hard.
Speaking of dirty, rotten cheaters, the son of Fernando Tatis, the one with Junior on his name, he cheated. He got busted. But
80
you know,
game suspension for Tatis.
for ringworm medication, folks.
Wait,
Ringworm
actually,
medication.
so serious question here, real quick. 80 games. Is that because it's his second? I thought it went 60,
that's the
100.
standard. No, they upped it after the first couple
Wait, this
years.
is his second
80
one? I thought he only had one.
No,
No,
80
this is his first, I
This
guess.
is the first.
Yeah.
80 is for the first infraction.
They
Jesus.
changed it after the first couple years.
That tells you just how much baseball doesn't matter because they have to suspend someone 80 fucking games just for it to have an impact.
Kevin, does baseball matter?
Not at all.
Damn it.
It doesn't matter as much as it used to.
Now, I grew up playing soccer, Mookie. I played NCAA.
Oh, fuck yeah!
back in the day.
Yeah,
I actually used to live not too far from München, as they say in German. And
Dude, for real?
I used to go to Bayern Munich games. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
How
good
like
times.
so like when were you over were you adult, kid?
Adult, yeah.
That's,
I was over
dude,
there.
that's
I was over
sweet.
there twice. I've lived in Germany for 7 years total. So
All right,
Is there
you
beer
guys
better?
Exchange numbers after the show.
oh yeah, there's no doubt.
Right.
Did they, well, hang on. Do they do like dunkles in the stadium for Bayern Munich games? Like, is it big liters at Dunkel?
So first of all, they do any type of beer
Yeah.
whatsoever. It's insane. It's crazy.
Bring out Das Boot.
I was gonna say, just picture Hofbrauhaus, but with soccer going on.
It's wild. The first time I ever went to a game, so there's like a sidewalk through a big grass park that leads out to the the parking area and where everyone exits, and everyone just literally stands on the edge of this sidewalk and pees after the game. And so you're walking to the car. Just
Not what I was
right
expecting.
down a path of people of men peeing on the side of this thing. Yeah, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. That's
No, sir. No,
That
sir.
sounds worse than the trough at Notre Dame Stadium. That sounds
God,
terrible. Just
yeah.
the sidewalk. Oh my God.
Can you imagine if you tripped and fell in that grass?
slip and slide.
Oh, man.
Scott, how did you feel when Tatis got suspended? Because I felt robbed. Like this was
Yeah, I was
the Padres
disappointed.
made the trade to get Soto, and then all of a sudden we've got Tatis on the suspended list into next year too. It's like 40 games next year.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. In the short term, for the Braves prospects coming in the playoffs and probably having to face the Padres, it's probably good. But for as a baseball fan and the big picture, like this dude was poised to be the face of baseball. I mean, he's on the cover of MLB, bat flips, making baseball fun again. And then he does this. And I don't care if it was accidental or whatever technical reason. Like, you got to be smarter. And the whole reason that he's even not playing baseball was because of his own stupidity anyway. So it's just a little irritating that a guy like this would be so reckless with his career.
If we've learned anything from Kevin tonight, it's that you have to cheat smartly. And he
Yes!
did not cheat smartly. He cheated like a
Don Johnson.
dummy, so he deserves it.
He cheated like the Browns. Fernando
I can't
Tatis
believe the
went
Browns.
full Browns, and that's why you don't go full Browns.
I have a take on
Kevin,
baseball. Though.
Biscuit's not happy with you. He said he was going to buy your book, but after the pizza comment and then the baseball comment, I'm just going to get it from the library. Baseball is
I
life.
will
Oh,
say
man.
baseball is life, but I'm still going to get the
Oh.
book.
Now I got to say something to redeem myself.
Why
I mean,
doesn't
Just,
baseball?
hey, just go with the classic. Cowboys and Raiders suck. You'll get back.
Bro,
into
what
good-
the fuck is up with the states here? What the fuck?
Caesar's been waiting to chime in here, and then Scott just slams
Yeah,
him
I
like
was
that.
like, why doesn't baseball just allow people to cheat? I'd start watching the fucking sport.
I mean,
No,
right?
dude, stop.
The
Why
90s
just
were
have
great for
everyone
that
do
reason.
steroids? It's not like it's not that bad.
Yeah, let's
Put
just
the
let
pictures on the
everybody.
tube.
Let's just let everybody drive drunk. Hey, you know why not? Hey,
It's
you
you're
know,
playing
Scott-
baseball though.
At least that way we know they'd all have a college education.
Oh my god.
Oh God! All right, let's wrap this up. This is absurd. Let's talk about these beers we're drinking tonight. Scott, what was in your mug? Would you bang it?
I was drinking Mad Tree's Pumpkin. It's pumpkin season because, it's August, so why not? And pumpkin season never ends, just like stout season. So this 7.9 heavy pumpkin hitter, I'm banging it all night long, like the long-lost friend that I found in the Rolodex.
Okay, weird. That took a very weird turn at the end there. Mookie, what's in your mug?
Yeah, because now I'm like rethinking my take because I was gonna say I'm loving this Mick Ultra. This is my bottom bitch. I'm always coming back to it. Like when I need something, like that's my go-to. Because when Scott started, I was like, oh shit, what did I even drink tonight? The blood orange Kolsch. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst blood orange beer I've had, but it wasn't really memorable. So again, like I said at the start of the show, it's that wingman situation where we'd go out, we'd share a pizza, have a nice time. Pizza with all the toppings, obviously, but nothing special, nothing to write home about.
Now that's a good date. That's a solid date strategy.
solid
Hey,
date,
baby, we're going to this pizza joint, but I'm gonna get you 3 or 4 meals tonight. How about that?
How about that?
No limit on the toppings, sweetie.
They're all on me.
She goes to take her pizza to like the cooking station or whatever. You look over like, whoa, you only got like a baby girl.
Hold on a second. Hold on now.
Let's go back.
You missed the whole
around.
section of toppings
Right?
over there.
Did you hear they're all free?
If
Did
you
hear
don't
they're
want it,
included?
put it on there for me. I'll eat it later.
Right. And don't get no ice in that soda either. You just go get straight soda because we ain't get ripped off that.
And just putting pepperoni on his pizza and then having like plastic bags to put everything else in, and he's just like ziplocking all the bags.
You said the
Plus
toppings
the
were all
Ziploc
like
out of the cargo pants.
Don't start making rules now this late in the game.
Caesar, what were you drinking tonight that you didn't
I was
like?
drinking soy sauce dog.
Not
It was
dog.
our-
Still not dog. Still
Dog.
not dog.
Dog. Soy sauce
Yeah,
dog.
there
Soy
you-
sauce dog. It was alright. It kind of sucked.
It wasn't a dog. The Doug wasn't a
It
dog.
wasn't dog. It wasn't dog whatsoever.
Not
And no,
at
I'm not
all.
having a rolling blackout biscuit. I'm just outside because I don't want to curse in front of my parents.
Oh,
How nice.
see, that's the thing about it. Caesar's such a
As a
nice
college graduate,
guy.
do they still think you don't cuss? Is that
No, they do. I just don't like doing it out loud and talking like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck my beer."
That's great because even at my age, my parents, it just like if he's not getting blackout drunk in front of us, we're gonna call it a win.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want.
And you're like, I don't want to cuss.
I was drinking Amber's Lager from Irwin Brewing, Woodbang delicious beer. Wow, that was
Wait,
something, Caesar.
Kevin, what about your beer? Did you enjoy the water as the designated driver?
Yeah, as the designated driver of this show and the gatherer of
the security?
the
detail.
security element.
That's right. El
it's
Jefe
good.
de Special Projects.
I'll make sure to ensure that this recording never goes out, and
The good news, even if it does, no one will notice.
that's
Kevin,
right.
what is your favorite beer type? Are you a beer drinker?
No, honestly, I'm not. No, I'm so busy with athletics, and I try to stay in good shape and do a lot of stuff. I still run a lot. I still play a lot of soccer. I still play a lot of tennis and all that kind of stuff. And I've been pounding water and pretty much solely water ever since I was a kid. So now that I've lost your entire show and everybody's gonna get my books in the library,
You're good, man.
walk on. Good, great.
Well, so
Thanks for asking
Kevin-
that question.
Kevin, give
Appreciate
us
the setup. You guys are
Give
great.
us something. Give us some. What's your besides pizzas that are stacked 3 inches high with free toppings? What's your thing? What's your go-to? Like I had a good day, or like it's the weekend, we're gonna get crazy and blank.
Mai Tais. I like hanging out with.
You like some good Mai Tai. There you go.
Drinking Mai
Perfect.
Tais. Yeah.
Perfect.
Hanging with Peyton.
Yep.
I was
Robert
gonna go with exposing more NFL head coaches. He's like, I like to kick back and expose more head coaches for being the frauds that they are.
Dirty, rotten cheaters, the
Dirty,
whole
rotten.
lot of them. Except
Rats.
for Bill Walsh.
Yeah, except for Bill Walsh, the Saint Bill Walsh.
And the Al Davis.
Yeah. VV Al Davis. Yeah.
I think the original Al Davis is probably a stand-up guy, but the one we know, not so much.
That's true. Yeah.
Kevin, tell the people one more time where they can get your book and how they can listen to the audiobook.
Yeah. So, Spies on the Sidelines is the name of the book. You can find it on my website right up there, spiesonthesidelines.com. It's out on hardcover, audiobook, and ebook. And Yes, right there.
In case you can't see.
So while it is
Hey,
out on-
Mookie Caesar.
while it is out on Amazon, you can find it cheaper on my website through the publisher. And there's a 30% off discount code you can use there. I will say the audiobook is half the price of the normal book. So if you're looking to save money, that's the way to go. And if you follow me on my Twitter or Instagram account, which can be found on my website, you can, I'm going to give away some audiobooks in August and September both. And just by following me, you enter yourself to get a chance to be able to win those puppies.
Awesome.
Can you give us an impression of your dad reading the book? Like, I just want to hear the voice that I'll be hearing in this audiobook.
You can see he's
man.
like thinking. He's like,
I'm trying to make this interesting without insulting my dad at the same time.
He's not gonna watch. It's good. Just come on, you got it.
So my dad's got a voice that's like, one octave above mine, and I've got a pretty high squeaky voice. So no, he's actually got a pretty good radio voice, and he's pretty animated. So he gets all excited about it. He's like, if he's reading the title, it's like Spy on the Sidelines. The high-stakes world of NFL espionage. And I'm like, Dad, where'd that come from?
who are you?
Like, well, that's pretty cool. Like, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I've got what he's got, but he puts some passion into it. He likes it.
That is fantastic.
Right on,
Thanks so much for hanging out.
Thank
with us
you,
tonight,
Kevin. This has
Really
been
appreciate
amazing,
it,
man.
Thanks, guys. It's
Appreciate
been a
it.
ton of fun. Yeah.
And thank you guys all for tuning in tonight. We appreciate it. Go check out Kevin's book, Spies on the Sidelines, spiesonthesidelines.com to get the book. That's the wrong screen, Producer Joe. There we go. Thank you. Go ahead and follow the show at Craft Beef Sports. Kevin, what's your Twitter handle? Where can people find you?
Twitter, I'm at Kev, K-E-V, Bryant, author. At Kev Bryant, author.
All right, there you go. Go hit up Kevin at Kev_Bryant author. Hit us up at Craft Beef Sports, Twitter and Instagram. Go join the Facebook group for Craft Beef Sports. It's a good time. There's a lot of shit talking there. Go hit us up there. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. There's always plans for content coming. It'll be there eventually, I promise. And then wherever you get your podcast, subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us more than you know. Also, shout out Belly Up Sports, bellyupsports.com. Tons of amazing podcasts and content on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. Subscribe, rate, and review to all of those amazing shows as well. We will see you all next week. Cheers, everybody.
Mets still suck.
Corner Booth Season 8 premiere to now later.
Nailed it, Mookie. You nailed it.
That's what happens.